What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave, and happy Ghost of Tsushima Day or happy Paper Mario the Origami King Day. Let me know which one you picked up, and if you picked up both, which one did you start with? Because I'm very curious which way people will go with it when you get home or whatnot with them. Which one comes out of the shrink wrap first and goes in the system to play. Today, we have a bunch of things to go over, which includes an announcement Microsoft has been working up to for a while now, especially going into next generation with all of their focus on subscription services. This has pretty much been their end game that they've been working towards, and we're gonna go over their big announcement today. Also, this is going to be interesting because we're going to go over what has been passed around the internet yesterday as a rumor or leak, whatnot. It's going to bring in a particular set of fans that have been waiting for a while for something from Nintendo, and that's right, we're going to be talking a little bit about F-Zero today. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit the like button, helps out a ton. And if you're brand new here, hit the red subscribe button down below as we head towards 500,000 subscribers. And we're going to start today with that Series X presentation that is next week. So we're less than a week away now. On the 23rd, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern time, we will finally see some first-party gameplay from Microsoft. Their last presentation, what was it, May, with the third-party games, didn't go over particularly well. There was like 3 minutes total of gameplay. It sounds like we are going to get a minor walkthrough, I'll say, with gameplay from Halo Infinite with the campaign mode. The multiplayer stuff will come later on. There's probably a lot more to talk about there. We just need to see what this game exactly is going to be, the direction they're going to take it, especially after Halo 5 that was, I'll say, underwhelming at best with its campaign. But it looks like there are a few other things to note with the press release they put out. They're also updating their news Xbox site, mentioning that the presentation will be at 1080p, 60 frames per second streamed, but afterwards there will be 4K 60 frames per second video on demand that will be uploaded to YouTube. So you certainly want to check those out. I talked about this with the PlayStation 5 presentation. The stream quality was not good, but if you go back and take a look at the videos that they did upload afterwards, it looks significantly better. Aaron Greenberg also threw some more information into the mix, saying that the presentation would be roughly an hour long and there would be nothing with hardware. So Lockhart will probably have to wait for another day. We're thinking sometime in August, but I'm really looking forward to it. They're also encouraging co-streaming with content creators and streamers, so we'll be streaming it here. Looking forward to it, and ready to finally see Halo Infinite on next-gen hardware. Also later on today, speaking of next-generation hardware, it looks like Jeff Keighley got his hands on a Dualsense controller for the PlayStation 5, taking to Twitter with this video, playing up at the idea of using augmented reality as people have been doing online with like the PlayStation 5 system. However, he went to pick up the controller, and that's right, he has a Dualsense controller in the office in hand, ready to take a look at it and I guess give us a tour, because today, noon Eastern time for Summer Game Fest, he will be showcasing it in some way. I kind of hope that also ties into something with the UI, but I mean, he could also just take the controller and maybe just play a game demo that's set up by Sony, and he just talks about the haptic feedback or the adaptive or the triggers on there, and maybe even talk about the microphone and the touchpad. Or maybe he just takes it, sits at his desk, and shows us around the controller for like 15 minutes or something. There's a lot of possibilities here, but yes, later on today, we'll see more about that DualSense. There was also an interesting development around the Xbox Live Gold membership after people started to spot that the 12-month option is gone on Microsoft's site. And we weren't sure if that was an accident or a glitch, but as of this recording, hours after it was spotted earlier in the day, it's still like that. You can even see it here, just 1 month, 3 month, 12 month, just gone. And this is, of course, starting up speculation as to what's going on with Xbox Live Gold, and we're going to get into that even further in a bit when we get into Microsoft's big announcement, but it almost seems like Microsoft could be making some sort of change with the Xbox Live Gold membership and the overall setup. They technically have multiple subscription services, and that might be a bit strange considering Xbox Live Gold is also part of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So it's weird to have both of them side by side technically, because the cost of having both makes no sense. I mean, it's the same thing, $60 for a year there, and then $10 a month on the other side. You might as well throw them together, because then it would at least make sense to have that 15, and of course have access to the PC Game Pass that, again, leads into their big announcement. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff right away. Microsoft's big announcement. We're going to jump over to their blog post that they put up. It had a lot of information, some stuff about the Series X, some stuff about Xbox All Access, family settings, generations of consoles, all of this stuff. But in there, they made their big announcement. We're going to go to that passage right now. It says, finally, today we're announcing that this September, in supported countries, we're bringing Xbox Game Pass and Project xCloud together at no additional cost for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members. With cloud gaming and Game Pass Ultimate, you'll be able to play over 100 Xbox Game Pass titles on your phone or tablet, and because Xbox Live connects across devices, you can play along with the nearly 100 million Xbox Live players around the world. So when Halo Infinite launches, you and your friends can play together and immerse yourselves in the Halo universe as Master Chief anywhere you go and across devices. So there it is. We've talked about how Microsoft most likely would take xCloud and just integrate it with Game Pass. That was the overall strategy for Microsoft. They've talked before about how their real competitors would be Google Stadia and Amazon whenever they're ready to launch their streaming service. But of course, I've been talking about it for a while. They have Game Pass. And if they take xCloud and just say, you know what? It's part of Game Pass. If you have Game Pass Ultimate in this case, though, keep that in mind. That is the $15 a month tier rather than $10 a month tier. You just have access to xCloud. And that's it, which is huge considering if you are subscribed to Xbox, their Game Pass Ultimate. It comes with quite a bit of stuff now. It comes with Game Pass for console, Game Pass for PC, Xbox Live, and now xCloud. So you put that all together and all of a sudden everything around you can play Xbox games for the most part. They still have to figure out desktop integration. So if you have a weaker PC that can't play, say, Flight Simulator, all of a sudden you can through streaming. That's the other big thing here. And it seems interesting because Microsoft has taken a completely different approach to this whole thing over Stadia. And while people will compare it to PlayStation Now, PlayStation Now has had its own issues when it comes to quality, but it has offered definitely more games, I'll say. The quantity of games for PlayStation Now is more than even Game Pass, right? But they don't have their day one releases, first party specifically, on PlayStation Now. That is a big leg up by Game Pass, and it will continue more and more going into this next generation as long as Microsoft can reveal games that make sense for people to subscribe to the service for, right? I thought about it. I was like, you know what? If Last of Us Part 2 was part of PlayStation Now, I might not have bought the game. I might have just played it on the subscription service and kind of moved on because after I beat it, I was like, I'll play through some more of it. But really, I played a little bit more and I kind of moved on to the next game. It is interesting to think about that because if Game Pass gets some single-player games from Microsoft Studios, we'll see about that, by the way, they still have to do that, then yeah, that is a great value at that point. Rather than spend $60 and then trade it in, you just download it. And then on the other side, Microsoft has been talking about having higher quality when it comes to xCloud. I've tried it on my phone. It's 720p. It works fairly well. I'd say going over Wi-Fi, all things considered, the responsiveness is good, but not amazing or even great. And I'll be more curious how it would run on, say, a desktop that is wired in, especially if it's a junk PC or something that doesn't run games at all, right? Barely Minecraft, for example. But you then fire up xCloud through Game Pass and you just click a game and then you just jump in. So that altogether has been Microsoft's big focus. Take everything, throw it into a subscription service, and sell it. That's it. They don't want to be limited to just a box because if you think about it, if they don't have to worry about how many systems they sell, but they still keep it as an option, it's much easier to exist in Microsoft for them because they would show them the subscription numbers and the revenue and the box. The box exists as our brand symbol, essentially, right? It's there for people like me who want it locally with the most powerful hardware, but then they have xCloud, which is, to be honest, probably what's going to sell and make the most money over time. But let me know what you guys think about this one. The other thing I think they should consider doing, we talked about desktop, right? I think they should have an app for the original Xbox One VCR and the One S because we're about to get into the One S and X, what's going on there, but they talk about no generations or you're not being left behind. If they had xCloud on the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X and all this stuff, and they stop making games specifically for that hardware, you can still technically fire up a game that's not on there but is on the Series X without having to go out and buy a more expensive piece of hardware if there's just a single game you want to play. Something to think about there, Microsoft, to just have an app, because they're technically little PCs anyway, and at least have people have an option that maybe can't afford to go out and buy like a $500 piece of hardware. Next up, let's talk about F-Zero. Okay, so this is a little surprising. So in March, it appears that a couple of Twitter accounts were made. We talked about the Super Mario 35th anniversary Twitter handle that appears to be linked to the same email. We're gonna say same because I think there's a way you could get around this and make it look the same. We'll say same for now, though, email address as, of course, the Splatoon, the official Smash Twitter accounts. And we talked about that yesterday, but now another one has popped up. You can see it here. It is F0JP. And for some reason, they keep naming these quote unquote placeholder accounts as if it was a character you don't care about in like an RPG that you're just trying to mash the A button to get through. It's just like 12 A's and that's it. Could have got a little more creative or something, right? Like nothing to see here. I don't know, something. But yes, F0JP, registered or created, I should say, in the same month as the Super Mario 35th anniversary. The Super Mario 35th anniversary Twitter account being formed before those rumors leaked online. This is interesting because there is a factor of a big letdown if F-Zero does not actually happen right now, because this spread around big time. Look, the F-Zero community, they're waiting for that big surprise to open into Nintendo Direct. And Captain Falcon jumps in and just blasts off and is like, the F-Zero, the new F-Zero. That would blow people's minds, right? It really would. People get really excited about it. It is interesting to consider F-Zero next to Mario Kart. Mario Kart does very, very well. It's a racing game, but I think F-Zero, personally, is different enough. It's not like Wipeout, right? You're going super fast, you're doing loops, you're all over the place. It's just a fun game, right? So people were wondering, how would this be faked? Well, technically, someone could go and they could buy a domain that matches up, right? So like we only see so many letters from that domain. They could buy a .co, whatever, and that would be hidden, and it would be just enough to be able to fake this. It really would. Now, there is a fake Splatoon account, I believe, that's out there. There are several fake accounts. I checked a few of them. Here's one, for example, but it's registered to a Gmail account. Okay, so obviously that's it's a less complicated fake that they attempted to do, whereas something like what we're seeing here, where the URLs appear to match up, a bit more complex and more time spent on it. Would someone do that? Yeah, probably. It's the internet. I don't doubt the internet anymore. I've been around long enough to know, but it's exciting to think of an F-Zero. Would Nintendo do it? Would that be the big surprise for a Direct coming up? I hope so. Next up, here's a piece of news that should not surprise anyone who watches Newswave, okay? I'm gonna tell you what it is, and you're gonna say, yeah, I kind of already knew that because we talked about it previously, I think twice. So check this out. Here's the headline. This is from The Verge because they did get the quote from Xbox. It says, Microsoft discontinues Xbox One X and Xbox One S Digital Edition ahead of Series X launch, with the quote saying, as we ramp into the future with Xbox Series X, we're taking the natural step of stopping production on Xbox One X and Xbox One S All Digital Edition. Xbox One S will continue to be manufactured and sold globally. Now, we had mentioned before that all of a sudden, a lot of these systems were out of stock, specifically Xbox One X, which couldn't be found anywhere at all. And Microsoft's website wasn't even really selling them. But even before that, we talked about how they were slashing prices heavily on these things. And it was all adding up to them, yes, probably discontinuing the Xbox One X ahead of launch, and it appears that they have done that. Now, the all digital doesn't really make sense either, but you might be wondering, why is that Xbox One S still around? That's weird. It's because it's basically a 4K Blu-ray player. And think about it this way. Let's say we have the Xbox Series X at $500, the Lockhart at $300 with no 4K Blu-ray drive, by the way, no disc drive. The Xbox One S technically still fills a need, and it could even be dropped in price lower to say $200 and act as a 4K Blu-ray player by Microsoft that has that xCloud app. See, it all comes together here, right? And this, again, shouldn't surprise anyone. It's the natural progression. They are just moving a little faster because they want to make sure the Series X and I think that Series S are ready to go on launch this, we're gonna say November. There have been rumors about it even sneaking into October, but I'm still sticking with November on this one so they can make sure they have enough stock. But I guess if you're someone who wanted to collect and you're like, well, I want to make sure I get an Xbox One X, you can still find them online for that factory refurbished one that I pointed out before for sub $300. So take a look around. And then our last bit of news, let's talk about an interesting interview that Kensuke Tanabe had with VGC, Video Game Chronicles, because it is about Paper Mario. And unfortunately, I think for old school Paper Mario fans, they're going to be kind of disappointed by what was said here. It's unfortunate, but it just looks like the direction for the overall series, as people were hoping for a big RPG experience. It looks like that's probably not the direction they're going to be going in going forward. I also want to read one answer to you guys in this interview that even confused me a little bit, but I guess that's just what Nintendo's doing with this series. It says, since Paper Mario the Sticker Star, it's no longer possible to modify Mario characters or to create original characters that touch on the Mario universe. That means that if we aren't using Mario characters for bosses, we need to create original characters with designs that don't involve the Mario universe at all, like we've done with Ollie and the stationary bosses. This is a strange one, right? So it's obviously Nintendo being pretty strict on this whole thing. Like, I guess the idea is you can't take characters and like change them and alter them and turn this into something crazier. You have to make your own original boss, and that's where we get Pencil Case, for example. That is a boss. I mean, it at least fits in with the idea of Paper Mario, and the overall boss battle looked pretty creative, but think about back to the original Paper Mario games when some of your partners or different enemies or characters, they were very creative and had a lot of personality, and they were characters from the Mario universe, but just altered and changed up to fit into a situation or a story they were trying to tell. Doesn't look like that's happening anymore. It's very weird. Look, Mario has grown since then, but like, it's weird. It seems to almost hamstring them a bit creatively, and I don't really know why Nintendo's doing that. I mean, they could do the whole review process, check it out and all this, but you feel like, especially with Paper Mario, you would want to allow the developers, creators, producers to be as creative as possible. They even went as far as to take like origami versions of these characters to make sure they get everything right. So like the detail is there, the world looks fun, it gets me with the RPG elements. It's a shame because even Tanabe himself says this is an adventure game, and I hope everyone is open-minded out there, what he said, to try it out, and I will. But it is disappointing. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Bvio saying, Konami used to have quality football or soccer games. Really enjoyed them. FIFA had all the licenses though. Yeah, we talk about how like Madden, of course, Madden Football went to EA after they realized 2K was about to push them around big time, and they just bought the license straight out. They're like, oh, nope, we have exclusive rights to the NFL. It's a little different with like soccer, football, so many leagues, license, all the stuff you can buy up, but EA had been doing that for a little bit with FIFA, making it harder for PES, Pro Evolution Soccer, to exist. But I remember when I first really started playing, I think it was the original Xbox, and I was playing FIFA on the PS2 before then, but I was like, let me try out PES. I remember I bought it. That game was so complicated. There was so much to it. Just passing the ball was insane. I remember I was trying to figure out how to do stuff, and I'm like, what is it? Because FIFA's a bit more arcadey, I would say, than PES. I think that's fair to say. But I went back and I read the manual, and I'm like, why? There's like an entire 3 pages on just how to pass the ball and like call formations and plays and one touches there. It was all over the place, but I started to get the hang of it, and I was like, this is way better than FIFA. Why is everyone playing FIFA? And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today. Whether it's F-Zero, are you buying into the hype? I would be careful, okay? I really, really would with F-Zero. I wouldn't expect it, but I would be excited if it happened, okay? So just sit with that. Don't go low expectations, all right? Because it could just be a bunch of Mario stuff, but hey, there's always that chance for that one more thing, and then Captain Falcon comes speeding in. Cross my fingers for everyone out there in the F-Zero community right now. Also, what do you think about Microsoft bringing in xCloud to Game Pass Ultimate? Do you think they have an idea of like taking the Xbox Live Gold and kind of like would they get rid of that and just have one subscription service? What if they made Xbox Live Gold like obsolete and just made it free to play online? That would be wild, wouldn't it? That'd be some crazy stuff. There are rumors about that too online, so hey, that event on the 23rd, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.